name is Nikki Mann, and today I'm going to show you how to weave on an Inkle Loom. Pretty much, accessories are not a modern thing. Absolute love of accessories. It's been known way back in BC that many pharaohs and other people had a love for all things bracelets, necklaces, trim, everything. What I'm going to show you today is trim made for the Viking era in the Middle Ages, and it is going to be done on what is called an Inkle Loom. Unfortunately, the Inkle Loom is not a modern, is not a period accessory. It is made in the 1800s, but the product that comes from it is very popular and used in Viking trim. So the first thing you need to do is you need to cut a very long string, because you're going to make your heddle. What the heddle is are these strings right here, and they hold down some of the strings which we call the heddle row. And it helps you pick up what we call the open row so you can pass the shuttle in between. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your string, and then you are going to put it underneath this foot, and you're going to bring it up around here, and then you're going to tie a square knot, which is right over left, and under, and left over right, and under. And then tie it down. And then you're going to take your scissors, and you're going to cut the excess off. Now, generally, you can do this in as many colors as you wish. I tend to do it in 2 colors because it makes it a very simple pattern. The pattern that I'm going to be doing are rows where it's going to alternate blue, silver, blue, silver. So, as you can see, I've already got this, what we call warped, which is wrapping the strings around all the posts. It goes from this post to this post, down here to here, and then all the way under and back around. So, the next one that I have to do is my blue color, and you want to try to keep the tension fairly decent because you need to have it tight. So you're going to pull it up what we call the heddle post, and you're going to take your loop, you're going to put it down here what we call the heddle peg, where all your heddles come on. You're going to pull it over and then loop back around the peg so it gets pulled down, and then you're just going to finish working out your warp, and try not to get it mixed up because it needs to alternate in your pattern. Which you can see I'm having some issues with the silver. And then what I do to kind of help with issues, since I typically do this alone, is I use tape and just kind of hold it down to keep my tension. Generally, Scotch tape does not stick, it doesn't pull anything up. So you've got blue, and then the very last row that I'm going to do is what we call our open row, which goes from underneath. It goes underneath this peg and back up, and you just follow the same exact route. And it's easier if you can kind of keep it all together so you can kind of have some room to work. And then, the last thing we're going to do is, let me get a piece of tape. When you started warping, typically, this is all one string. It is all one piece of blue string, one piece of silver string. So when I started, I taped blue string right here, so that way I would have some string to finish my wrapping. So I tend to do an extra long piece because it can be highly frustrating to try and tie it with short strings. So again, I'm going to do square knots, or I'm just going to do a regular knot. And cut off your ends. Do the same thing with the silver, which you see the silver pieces here. It needs to make sure it goes between that blue and silver. Now you don't need to worry about the knots and everything sticking out. It will get worked into the actual woven fabric. And then you're going to tighten your tension, you're going to tighten your tension bar, which is this one right here. And then you are ready to start working. Generally, you start with Generally start with an open row like this, and you're going to take your shuttle, usually wrapped in one of the colors that you're using, and you're going to push it down, and then pass it through, leave a tail, and then to come around the next time, you're just going to pull up, pass it through, and then do what we call beading, and just kind of push the thread that's on the shuttle down, and then push it back down. And since I have a broken thread, it's being difficult. Sometimes it can get tricky and get messed up. But you just alternate back and forth, either pushing down to come through or pushing up to come back through. And you just pass it forth, back and forth, and you just want to keep it tight. And eventually you can get a pattern such as this. This is a wavy pattern in burgundy and gold. When you cut it off right back here because there's only so much room you can do. And then you just tie the ends off. This end I tied off in 2. This end I just tied off in 1. And this is a gift that I'm going to be giving a friend to use this trim on a Viking tunic. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you very much.